Hello there, fellow city builders. My name is Alaydriem, and welcome back to City Skylines 2 in the ever so beautiful city of Lostwithiel, where today we're picking up right where we left off in our previous episode by fixing some of the mistakes that we made. And as you can see, I've already fixed one of those mistakes, which is moving our incineration plant and our garbage pile over here by the bay so that we have the pollution go over out in the ocean rather than over all of our citizens. Now, today in this episode, there's a couple problems that I want to address. First and foremost, we have a bit of a traffic disaster on our hands where things are just getting clogged up all over our city. So there's going to be two ways that we're going to go about addressing this. First and foremost, we're going to come over here to the trains tab and we are going to start setting up our first train stations. Later on in this episode, we will also do some work with our highways and get a subway line in. But for right now, I want to get all of this cargo traffic that we have going through our city off of our main roads and rearrange them so that we have shipments going to and from our city, from our farm area over to our industrial district and back and forth, and get all of those trucks off of our main road. And to do that, I'm going to come over here to this section where there's plenty of rail lines. We're going to buy these 9 tiles right here. And with these 9 tiles purchased, we're going to come down over to here, add in a cheeky little road. This overpass right here is going to serve as the road that goes to where our rail yards are going to be. Obviously going to put in a quick little highway overpass so that people can get in and out of here. I have this a little bit further away from that main interchange, but I don't think it's really going to matter because no one's going to be here. No one's really going to be coming over here driving. We are going to add roundabouts there on the overpass because why not? And then we're going to bring down a road and just follow the curvature of this highway and basically just follow it all the way down. And then once we follow it all the way around, bring it straight out, and then we will plop our rail yard right along there. So we just need to complete this curve right here. We do want to stay kind of close to the road and also kind of close to this rail line here. But once we have that road further enough out, and that should be good, we should be able just to go in and grab ourselves our rail yard, plop that right there. And then once that is in place, we can come over here and add in a quick little eyelet. This is a very standard way of doing access to rail yards. This gives you access to both directions. So trains coming from the right can take this loop and come in. They can cross over the necessary tracks. Trains coming in from the left can do the exact same thing. They all end up on the same 2 tracks going to our rail yard. It's a very quick and easy way to do this as long as you have the space available. We're just going to mirror this on the other side here, and it looks like a little tier eye drop. It's a very nice way of doing interchanges for trains. Up here at the top, we're just going to connect those 2 together, loop this around, and as soon as we can find a curvature that fits, sometimes getting these curves right on trains is just a little bit tricky, but we're going to extend this all the way over to our rail yard, make sure that we have plenty of space for trains to space themselves out for any type of maintenance that we need. And then we will go ahead and tie in our rail yard to this line that we added right here. With a rail yard in place, we now need to come over to our industrial district, and I'm actually going to extend our overpass to follow this curvature of this highway right here, and we're going to put in our first cargo rail station. This will allow us to get goods and supplies over to our industrial district without really needing to go through the highways, and more importantly, without needing to go through our cities. Just to keep things simple and clean, I am going to add a redundant overpass over here too that's going to snake into this part of our industrial district. Our industrial district is pretty small, but there hasn't been a lot of demand for it, which I've been really kind of surprised by, but hey, it's a pleasant surprise to be sure. We're going to do the same thing, make sure that we bring in a quick little on-ramp and off-ramp into here, and then we will obviously clean these up as soon as I can buy a few additional map tiles. Oh gosh, that ramp is just the steepest ramp ever. We'll go ahead and add some roundabouts right there, and look at this. This is just absolutely horrendous. I'm going to need to buy this other map tile so that we can clean this up. Ugh. Look, can't even place anything. It's going to be what it's going to be. We're going to grab our cargo rail station, place it right here, and then we're going to add in probably another pair of tracks and then also some additional terminal stations that we can load in some more. I'll need to buy that other dial there too. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. Wire this up and create that little teardrop eye shape so that we can get cargo trains in and out. And then over here by our farming district, we're going to just extend a road out here next to the highway, place in another cargo terminal. And if we get to a point where this becomes a problem with traffic, we'll clean up this interchange just a little bit. Add add some necessary extensions. When we have a little more money, we can throw in some cargo there. And then we're just going to hook this up to the tracks. I am going to need to clean up this a little bit because right now I don't really want to have cargo trains going over bridges or anything like that. So I think what I'll do is blow out this piece of rail right here and then rearrange it so that trains can get to and from where they need to go. Now, as you can see over here, there's a massive backlog of traffic that forms right here that we need to take care of next. We've eliminated the cargo coming in, but there's still a ton of people who want to live in our city, and it causes a backlog all the way up to here, and then it will cause this road to also back up because everyone's trying to get across our entire city through this main road. So I think first thing that we're going to do is try to expand the inlet to our city just a little bit, make this a 3-lane road coming in and then a 2-lane road coming out. And for some reason, this tool just will not maintain the road consistency. It just flipped the roads right there. Look at that. For no good reason whatsoever, the roads flipped around. So I'm gonna need to go all the way back up to here, delete all this, and then re-add this in. And after quickly replacing that bit of road, the entrance to our city is now well and sorted. We can now turn our attention over here to this disaster of an entrance, which makes it just causes a giant traffic jam everywhere in our city. So what I am going to do is replace all of this with a highway interchange. And you may be thinking, well, won't a highway just make this all worse? Well, yes and no. If we do a highway right, I think we'll be just fine. So I'm going to get rid of all of this road. Going to get rid of this really kind of crappy interchange that I built right here, clean up some stuff around this highway right here, and then I'm going to grab ourselves 2 pieces of highway and we're going to run a parallel highway and then make ourselves a nice cloverleaf interchange. And my thought process is that the cloverleaf will allow us to handle traffic that's coming into our city just a little bit better, and then we can manage the interchange that we had. Rather than have a single roundabout, we can have something a little more complicated and nuanced. So with this road now in place, we're going to level the terrain out here just a little bit to get things nice and pretty. We're going to start with our cloverleaf, and to do that, we're going to come off this road right up here, and we're just going to make a little bit of a loop. So traffic going this I don't know which direction this is on the map, actually. This will be westbound on this road. They'll be able to loop around back to our main highway system that we have. We're going to try to keep this curve nice and tight, and we're just going to ignore the fact that it looks absolutely ugly. We're going to come over here off of this southbound lane, and then we're going to loop around onto this highway, and that forms the very first arm of our cloverleaf. We're then going to just repeat this entire process for every single one of these interchanges that we have. So coming off here of our southbound lane, we're going to make ourselves another arm of our cloverleaf. That's going to make a circle that comes up over into here. And then we're going to have part of our highway system from this. It's just going to hug around the outside. It's going to be a little bit big, but that's because our highways are not perfectly perpendicular to one another, so it'll be okay in the end. So we got 2 done. We're just going to do the exact same thing over here. This would be our westbound lane. Westbound lane is going to come over here. We're going to make a circle with this as well. And you can notice right here, I'm not trying to make things super duper pretty. I'm just trying to keep things well even spaced out. You don't need to really make your cities or your highways perfectly symmetrical. If this were real life, maybe you'd have specific targets for saving concrete or something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters, because when you're in a simulation and you have plenty of money that you've developed from the egregious amount of parking tickets that you issue people. Then finally, we're going to come over here to this westbound interchange, and actually we're going to take the northbound lane. We're going to make it do a clover leaf here to wrap around. That'll wrap into our westbound lane, and then as soon as we get a nice beautiful curve in, connect that right to here. Look at that. That is not a pretty curve there. That's a little bit better. And then we'll just have this extend off over to here. Now we do have a dead end. Now I don't know about you, but I have seen highways that just end like this in real life. It's a very, very, very strange thing. But sometimes the highway just ends. And it's your responsibility to know through street signs that you just can't go that way. We're going to just extend this arm over here, wrap this around. This will connect to our northbound lane. Maybe this is our westbound lane. I don't know. We have 2 westbound lanes, I think, at this point. actually might get a little bit confusing to drivers. But now we have our cloverleaf installed. We'll take our terrain tool and just try to build up the terrain a little bit. If this were real life, we would have built the terrain up beforehand rather than kind of doing it after the fact. That will save us on needing to build, bridges or anything like that. If this is all level with the ground, that just makes construction of this just a whole lot easier. And then over here, all that I've done is added in a double interchange. So here's what our final cloverleaf looks like. It is not the prettiest thing in the world, but I spent probably another hour on this that I didn't want to spend. So it's going to be what it's going to be. But as you can see here, traffic is flowing very, very smoothly inside of our city. We're not having those backups that we had before because the way that we get into our city now, it's split up between these 2 or 3 separate roads, and then there's a nice easy way to loop around these highway interchanges and not need to basically collide with anything. But traffic is looking very, very pretty, and now it's time to move on to getting back to the business of expanding our city. And I think what I'm going to do is come over here. We have a road that we had built out previously in our last episode, and I think what I'm going to do is just populate this with a couple more of these mixed housing, and then we're also going to extend this area and add in a couple of essential services such as the welfare office and our administration building, which will lower our taxes and lower our loan and help people who are struggling with kind of the lower parts of the housing system. That'll help them more affordably pay for their housing. Also, it'll help us pay off the loan, which I basically just ignored. We have $2 million solely from charging people $50 from parking. So, just charge people for parking. They'll pay for it, and they can just deal with the fact that our businesses don't have money to shop because everyone pays for parking. My solution has been, if you want to make money and you want to get cars off the street, charge them to park their car on the street. And if they park their car on the street, well, that's their loss. We do have parking places. They are cheaper, but hey, if you want to park on the street, that's your problem. What we're going to do also to fix that is we're going to add in a subway station. And I think once we add in a subway station, people just aren't going to want to park on the street because we're going to make the subway station free. That will encourage transit using the subway station to and from everywhere that we need to go. We did get 2 other buildings right there. One of them was kind of like a luxury hotel, and the other one was a generic oil refinery. So I think I'm going to place this oil refinery probably over here on this road. I just wanted away from this groundwater, and now we can get to the business of cleaning up more of our downtown area. In our downtown area, we're just going to bring a road off of our interchange right here. We will have some issues with traffic if people choose to go right here, but we will take care of cleaning that up as it becomes an issue. And we're just going to extend this road down. We're going to go underneath this massive bridge. I don't know, have you ever seen a city where the highway kind of just tore through the middle of the city like a towering skyscraper? I don't know if I have before. This is going to be very, very interesting because building a city underneath a highway, I don't know if that's a super duper great idea. Hopefully this doesn't become our downtown. We're going to try to build this area up so that people really, really want to live here. But we're going to perform our standard king operation, which is just putting in a seawall right here. Extend this road all the way around as soon as I can figure out where the water actually is. And after putting in our key walls, we're going to just do some quick terraining. And then we're going to pop our administration center over here, which has a couple of key benefits. Mainly, it reduces the loan amount. It just lowers the interest for us, which really isn't a big deal. I just need to remember to pay it at some point. We also have a couple other things where we reduce the cost to level a building, reduce crime rate, and then also lower any import costs because this building basically houses all of our administration for our city that we're doing all of our negotiation with any of the other cities that we are doing trades with. We do want to place a parking center right here. We'll place parking right next to our administration center. We're actually broke, so maybe we're only going to place one of these in here, and then hopefully we can start taking care of building this area up. Now, as we're looking at the map, we're starting to snake downwards down this river, and we need to start thinking about how we're transporting people in and out of our city from other various locations. Again, tourism is a big thing that we can make a lot of money off of, but to do tourism, we need to bring citizens in. And the best way to do that, in my opinion at least, because who doesn't love trains, is to have a train. So what I'm going to think about doing is placing in some additional quay walls right here. I'm going to need to expand this road. And then we can pop in our train station just right about here. Now, the nice thing about the train station is that it does also have a subway station built into it, so we can make this a core part of our system as well. So we'll go ahead and get that extra platform, go ahead and add our taxi stop and also our service stations. And it looks like we actually need to, what do we need to build for this? We actually need to build a subway yard before we can actually build a subway in here. So we're gonna clean this up just a little bit, get some roads in, and then we'll get to work on building our train lines and subway lines for all of our passengers. Now, for our passenger rail that brings citizens in and out of our city, we're just going to build a quick little islet right over here. We're going to double up the rails over here. And again, it doesn't need to be pretty. Remember, having stuff that's functional is more important than having them pretty. We can always make this look prettier later, but it's got to be functional at the end of the day. Now, for our subway lines, we do need to have a subway rail yard, which is different somehow from our main rail yard. So what we're going to do is come over here to where we previously had our garbage patch, and then we will just build a quick little road over here. Doesn't look like we have the straight line that I wished, but that's okay. We can come over here and just make one of those lovely little roundabouts that we did for our school area. I think what I'll do is just place a roundabout probably somewhere here in the middle. Let's see here, maybe extend this road over here. And then we can get a one-way road. I think probably a double one-way road. Wow, that's a really hard word to say. And we'll just make a kind of a loop over here so that anyone who needs to get into this area is able to very, very quickly. I'm going to just loop this around and do the exact same thing over here. Tell you, getting these curves in is always a little bit of a challenge. Oh, okay, that's really, really ugly, but we'll clean it up just a little bit later. We're going to throw our roundabouts in, and then we'll go ahead and grab our subway train yard, plop it right here. And with some quick track maintenance later, we now have our subway rail yard now in place. So all of this is going to be overground. And as you can see right here, nice, pretty, lovely, easy access for all of our rail lines. Then we're going to have this go underground, and the rest of our subway system is going to be entirely underground. We are not going to have any overground subway stops because I frankly don't think that we have any space inside of our city to do that. So for our subway lines, I want to make sure that we cover kind of this riverside property first, and then we can loop back probably along that center road with additional subway lines. So I'm thinking we can just pop this in. I want to make sure that we have enough of these that people can get to them, but also not too much so that we basically have the train stopping every 5 minutes. People can get out, they can walk a little bit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and place one right here. Well, that made people really happy real quick, even though that's not functional. We'll have the same thing. I'm probably going to blow out one of these buildings. Sorry, if I can just weasel that in there, what I'd really like to do. I don't know, can I get that in there? Oh, I really like to, but it doesn't look like I'm able to. We'll pop that one right here-ish. And then we'll come down over here. Do the same thing along this side. I'm alternating between sides of the street. They don't need to be on the same side of the street. I think actually having them alternated helps just a little bit. Like I said, people can walk, and then we'll add in sidewalks and kind of make walking alleyways a little bit easier for people here a little bit later. But that one's in place. We're going to loop over here, place one right here. Sorry if you had a business there, the subway is more important. Don't want that actually going into the river system, but we'll place that right there, and then we'll just kind of loop around to the top and then continue our excursion underground through our main education center. Now, I do want to have a subway over here because this is where our one medical clinic is, and it is also where all of our schools are. So if we have things over here, that'll make it very easy for people who live in the city to get to our schools and the one medical clinic that's over here. And it will also make it very easy to encourage people who live in this area to maybe drive to one of these parking lots, then take the train, which we will make free, over to our education centers. Or to downtown if they want to shop. I guess we have basically made a downtown at this point. It's really just kind of there. I think that is going to be good. Now we just need to hook all of this up with underground rail. And looping up these underground tunnels is very, very simple and straightforward. We're just going to carve this underground, probably 2 steps. I don't know what the depth of meters that is, but we're just going to create basically one giant loop. We're going to have that be able to carry traffic one way. Basically, the traffic's going to loop throughout our entire city through our subway line. So it's just one giant circle that we have. We're going to extend it to all of these various train lines that we have, all of these underground stations. Try to avoid the water and all of the pipes that we have laid previously. That may have been a oversight. We might need to move these a little bit later. And then from here, we can go about setting up our routes. Now, one thing I did notice is I was not able to get the subway station in the train station working. For some reason, when I went over the train station, it just gave me a gigantic error and it just said no. It won't let me do it, and it really wasn't giving me an error why. So I've gone ahead and added another subway station right next to our train station. At some point, I'll probably figure out what it is, but every time that I try to add it to our train station, it just complains about the fact that there's no rail connection, which, there's no rail connection. I haven't built a subway rail connection yet. So anyway, I don't know what the deal is with that, but we're going to have our underground subway station right here, and people will just have to walk from the train station, I guess. It's a little bit inconvenient, but it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the terrain around this real quick and get our keys back in place. And finally, because I've been ignoring basically all of our population demand for this entire time that we've been adding trains to our city, I'm going to go ahead and paint in a couple of the office buildings that we have demand for. And we also have demand for this higher residential or higher density commercial. I'm trying to move people into that instead of having all of these smaller shops, because the larger shops will be able to suit more customers. Hopefully we have people come in from our suburbs, they take the trains, they go shop downtown, and then they can go back, and then from the parking lots near the train stations that they're at or the subway stations, they can get to wherever they need to go. But right now, this is very much a highly dense shopping area. It's a glorified shopping area. We do have some mixed residential things, so people are able to live down here with kind of smaller shops on the first floor. But again, a lot of this is commercial real estate that we have down here. Hopefully that drives the price up. It encourages people to come in and shop, and hopefully makes things a little bit easier for all of our citizens. We have a nice clear separation between the larger businesses that we have and our more residential areas. Aren't able to add something right here, so maybe we just need to do a couple a little bit quick terraining. And with the addition of those, as you can tell from the finances down in the bottom right corner, our city is booming. We're about $2 million up, and we have plenty of profit. So as always, thank you so much for watching. If there's anything I missed, please leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.